ग्रथितं पुराणमुनिना मध्ये महाभारतम् अद्वैतामृतवर्षिणीं भगवतीम् अष्टादशाध्यायिनीम् अम्ब त्वामनुसन्दधामि भगवद्गीते भवद्वेषिणीम् अतः श्रीमद्भगवद्गीतासु ज्ञानयोगश्लोकसङ्ग्रहः। अर्जुन उवाच अहो बत महत्पापं कर्तुं व्यवसिता वयं यद्राज्यसुखलोभेन हन्तुं स्वजनमुद्यताः। श्रीभगवानुवाच अपि चेदसि पापेभ्यः सर्वेभ्यः पापकृत्तमः सर्वं ज्ञानप्रवेणैव वृजिनं सन्तरिष्यसि। तद्विद्धि प्रणिपातेन परिप्रश्नेन सेवया उपदेक्ष्यन्ति ते ज्ञानं ज्ञानिनस्तत्त्वदर्शिनः। न जायते म्रियते वा कदाचित् नायं भूत्वा भविता वा न भूयः। अजो नित्यः शाश्वतोऽयं पुराणः न हन्यते हन्यमाने शरीरे। वेदाविनाशिनं नित्यं ययेनमजमव्ययम् कथं स पुरुषः पार्थ कं घातयति हन्तिकम्। नैनं छिन्दन्ति शस्त्राणि नैनं दहति पावकः न चैनं क्लेदयन्त्यापः न शोषयति मारुतः। अच्छेद्योऽयमदाख्योऽयम् अक्लेद्यो शोष्य एव च नित्यः सर्वगतस्थाणुः अचलोऽयं सनातनः। त्रैगुण्यविषया वेदाः निस्त्रैगुण्यो भवार्जुन निर्द्वन्द्वो नित्यसत्त्वस्थः निर्योगक्षेम आत्मवान्। प्रजहाति यदा कामान् सर्वान् पार्थमनोगतान् आत्मन्येवात्मना तुष्टः स्थितप्रज्ञस्तदोच्यते। ध्यायतो विषयान् पुंसः सङ्गस्तेषोपजायते सङ्गात् सञ्जायते कामः कामात् क्रोधोऽभिजायते क्रोधात् भवति सम्मोहः सम्मोहात् स्मृतिविभ्रमः स्मृतिभ्रंशात् बुद्धिनाशः बुद्धिनाशात् प्रणश्यति। रागद्वेषवियुक्तैस्तु विषयानिन्द्रियैश्चरन् आत्मवश्यैर्विधेयात्मा प्रसादमधिगच्छति। दुःखेष्वनुद्विग्नमनाः सुखेषु विगतस्पृहः वीतरागभयक्रोधः स्थितधीर्मुनिरुच्यते। प्रसादे सर्वदुःखानां हानिरस्योपजायते प्रसन्नचेतसो ह्याशु बुद्धिः पर्यवतिष्ठते। यः सर्वत्रानभिस्नेहः तत्तत्प्राप्य शुभाशुभं नाभिनन्दति न द्वेष्टि तस्य प्रज्ञा प्रतिष्ठिता। या निशा सर्वभूतानां तस्यां जागर्ति संयमी यस्यां जाग्रति भूतानि सा निशा पश्यतो मुनेः। ओमित्येकाक्षरं ब्रह्मा व्याहरन् मामनुस्मरन् यः प्रयाति त्यजन् देहं स याति परमां गतिम् श्रद्धावान् लभते ज्ञानं तत्परः संयतेन्द्रियः ज्ञानं लब्ध्वा परां शान्तिम् अचिरेणाधिगच्छति एषा ब्राह्मी स्थितिः पार्थ नैनां प्राप्य विमुह्यते स्थित्वा श्यामन्तकालेऽपि ब्रह्मनिर्वाणमृच्छति ॐ तत्सदिति श्रीमद्भगवद्गीतासु उपनिषत्सु ब्रह्मविद्यायां योगशास्त्रे श्रीकृष्णार्जुनसंवादे ज्ञानयोगश्लोकसङ्ग्रहः हरिः ॐ तत्सत्। This is the path of intellect. As all of us are aware, Swami Vivekananda's great contribution is to expand the vision of yoga into four mainstreams. Earlier yoga meant only Patanjali yoga. But Swamiji said, karma, bhakti and jnana also are the ones who take us to the same goal. Therefore, they also should be called as yoga in the modern times. He said jnana is jnana yoga, bhakti is bhakti yoga, karma is karma yoga. Then what about yoga? We call it as Raja Yoga. So you can work through the intellect, as in Jnana Yoga, or through the emotions in Bhakti Yoga, which we are going to take up next, through action in Karma Yoga, and through the willpower in Raja Yoga. You can use any of the four paths to do that. So Bhagavad Gita is the repository of all these yogas. Every chapter is a yoga. Even the conflict which Arjuna gets is also a yoga. Arjuna Vishada Yoga, Krishna says. Because it is that conflict which helped him to go to the highest height, to reach the great height. Therefore, that also is a yoga. Indicating that when we get challenges, problems, and others, there also are pathways to grow higher. So, we selected 18 verses from different chapters of Bhagavad Gita and arranged it in a systematic way, just like in a modern thesis. The first two shlokas talk about introduction to Jnana Yoga. Then what are the eligibility criteria for people to take to the path of Jnana Yoga? Just like when you want to join medicine, what are the eligibility? You must have a PCB. So like that, what are the eligibility to take up to the path of Jnana Yoga? Then what is the hypothesis? Dimensions of reality. Then when you start taking to the path and start doing that, what are the qualities a person gets which shows yes, we are in the right path, we are going the right direction, shloka number 9. Then how we use these things to grow further. From 10 to 14 shlokas, he was various methods of Jnana Yoga. And then you have to go beyond the Jnana to the higher dimensions. So then at the time of death, how does a Gnani leave his body? Shloka number 16. When he leaves the body, what happens to him? 17 and 18. This way the whole structure of Jnana Yoga has been summarized in these 18 verses that we have chosen. This has been put in the form of a schematic to give you the whole picture of Jnana Yoga. Normally, in the beginning, you make the hypothesis, Shravana. Just like in a modern scientific research, what we do, we formulate a hypothesis. Then you are going to design a study. and you conduct the experiment and repeated the experiment, and then when you get the inference, that is established. In the same way, our ancient masters also had the same methodology: Shravana, hearing, then Manana, thinking about it, cogitating about it, questioning about it. How is it possible? How is it possible? So you get convinced partially. Then you have to conduct the experiment called nididhyasana, contemplation. And when you go deeper and deeper and deeper in this contemplation, then you get the gnana, the knowledge. What has been postulated, what has been heard. Now you are able to actually realize that. And that knowledge has to be stabilized. Once you stabilize, it's called the sthita prajna or jivan mukti. That is now, here itself, you get that gnana which is adequate to see that you get into the higher stages later on. Then you continue your sadhana further. And you go deeper and deeper, deeper, and you start getting to siddha sthiti. Various advanced dimensions can give you powers. They are called the siddhas. Then you get the highest siddhi called ashta siddhi. Then all those things also you have to relinquish to reach the highest state, that is beyond things. So that's called the moksha, ultimate reality. That is the state of absolute freedom, infinite bliss, infinite knowledge, infinite power. That's our original state. So this is the schematic of the entire Gnana Yoga which we saw. So let's see how we have so far dwelt with these things in the 18 verses. Arjuna's first thing was that how can I kill my own people? My own teacher, Dronacharya, who has made me an Arjuna. And we are people like Bhishma, who is the person, grandfather, and the greatest gnani, the greatest thing who is worth of worship. We should worship him. Instead of that, we have come to kill them. Is it not wrong? Why we are doing all these things? Yadrajya sukhalopena hantum swajanam mudyataha vayam. We have all come here to kill all these people to get that kingdom. We have become so selfish for the sake of kingdom. By that what? We are going to get luxury, comforts, sense pleasures, everything. For that selfishness, we are killing our own people. Therefore, it's the biggest sin that we are doing. So, I will not kill. He was totally confused. And in the first chapter, Arjuna says that, Krishna, how I can do that? I can't do that. And he could not even stand in the chariot. He just sits down. He could not hold the Gandiva. Gandivam sransate hastat tvakjaiva paridakyate nacha shaknomyavasthatum bhramati vachame manaha. Absolutely confused. He could not stand and he sits down. So that is the first chapter, a very beautiful way by which the entire Bhagavad Gita is brought into practice. A subtle conflict between the duty versus ethics. Which is better of the two? Both are good. To be good, to do all the good actions is very good. Sacrifice, renunciation, share others, do everything and give everything more and more to others is a wonderful ethics. Other side, as a duty. As a Kshatriya, I have to wage the war. Which is better of the two? So on the side, heart, the emotions, ethics, morality, this takes over. And therefore, Arjuna is confused. These are the subtle conflicts that arise in all of us at some stage of life. Then you get confused. So there is no book, there is no literature in the world which can give solution to this thing. It's only here in the Upanishads, in the Bhagavad Gita, we have the solution. Conflict between one duty and another duty, between one ethics and another ethics. Questioning the very basis of ethics, questioning the very basis of duty. Why we should follow this? Why the Ten Commandments? Why Ten Commandments, Manu Dharma Shastra? Why Patanjali's Yama and Niyama we have to follow? All question. You're torn apart. So this is the greatest contribution of the Bhagavad Gita that they have. So how does Krishna start answering? In this first thing he says, Apitedasi papebhyaha sarvebhya papakruttamaha sarvam gnana pravenaiva rujinam santarishyasi. Arjuna, you are thinking you are doing a great sin. But I can tell you, you are not doing the papa. But assuming, okay, you are the greatest sinner of the world by killing all these people. Even if you think you are a papakruttaraha prapakuttamaha, you are the biggest sinner of the world. How are you going to overcome this papa? Even assuming that you are right, assuming that you are the biggest sinner of the world, what is the way out? How you can overcome that? For that you had a proper knowledge. And it's only the gnana that can make you go beyond this entire dimension of sin. So to overcome these conflicts in life, you must have the proper knowledge, the right knowledge. That is the knowledge. Sarvam gnana pravenaiva rujinam santarishyasi. You go to the boat of gnana, then you can cross this ocean of conflicts across. You can go to the other shore, he said. So then, what is the gnana? You will naturally ask, what is that gnana by which you can do? So to understand this, to get to the gnana, what is the qualification? Krishna says. So 3 qualities for a person who takes to this thing. Student, and the 2 qualities for the teacher. For the teacher, he says, Shrotriyam Brahmanishtam. He should be very well versed with all the texts, entire knowledge, Upanishad, Bhagavad Gita, and all the Shruti Prasthana, Smriti Prasthana, Nyaya Prasthana, everything which is available. You should be familiar. You should be very knowledgeable about everything. Then that alone will not suffice. Actually, you should have experienced that. You should have realized the truth. So both theory and practice are needed, he says. Through such a guru, you go through such a teacher, then what are your qualifications? Tadvidhi pranipatena pariprashnena sevaya. 3 qualities for a student. Pranipata, pariprashna and seva. What is pranipata? Sashtanga namaskar. Is it just physical? No. It is a surrender at the mental level, a openness of the mind. When something is told, if you close your mind, there is no use. Therefore, you must open your mind. A openness is very important. Therefore, that's the process of surrender. Then, just because you surrender, just because you open your mind, it doesn't mean that you accept everything. Pariprashna, prashna and pariprashna. You must question and question and question. You must tear your teachers to pieces by your brilliant questions, deep questions, fundamental questions, everything. So that is the second dimension. As that sharp intellect, you must ask questions. But many students, what they do, they don't question at all. Whatever teacher says, okay, you accept. That means you are not an investigator, you are not a researcher, you are not the right person. Therefore, you must have the second dimension. Tadvidhi pranipatena pariprashnena sevaya. That is the second dimension you must have. And what is the third dimension? Seva. To overcome the tamasic action within us, the tamas within us, the laziness, lethargy, drowsiness, you must be involved in physical activity, doing good for the organization, good for the teacher, and good for the things. In earlier times, the students were asked to go and work in the Goshala, in the agriculture field, and they work hard into the whole thing. And today in the modern times, what do the students do? They get the assistant to the professors. They go there and work. They got assistantship, they will get this thing. So they go on doing this thing. That is the third aspect. Therefore, openness of mind, questioning attitude, and doing physical activity to overcome the tamas. All the three things are necessary. Okay, now you have the eligibility criteria and you start the things. So, what is it that you are going to do? What is the jnana? Is they put forth here. What is the right knowledge? They put there. So, next he says, there are two dimensions to this entire existence. One is the ever-changing dimension. In this world, everything is changing and changing and changing. How can you say this? This table, where is it changing? Today, all scientists know this table is made out of what? Wood. What is wood made out of? Ultimately, molecules. What are molecules made out of? Molecules are made out of atoms. What are atoms made of? Atoms made of protons, neutrons, electrons, fundamental particles. They're all continuously changing. In this, there are trillions of molecules that are all moving inside. It's ever changing. As a scientist, you understand that. Similarly, what of the body? You know that every day a billion cells get created and a billion cells get destroyed. Since we came to this hall, all our bodies are totally changed. Such is the change going on in the body. What to talk about the mind, emotions, intellect, everything changing. Tremendous changes going on. So change forms the entire creation. The whole creation that we have is continuously changing. It's called Jagat. Jagat means Jagatyan Jagat. That which goes on changing is called Jagat. Therefore, the first aspect is the body or the entire world, which is in a continual flux of changes. Then, that which is beyond that is the unchanging entity called self. That's at the base of all changing. So, there are two dimensions to the existence. Nirupadika Brahma, Sopadika Brahma, as it's called. This physical body and the entire creation is not a single entity. We are not just the physical body. Arjuna, please understand. The body that you are seeing is not all. You have 5 bodies. The physical body is called Annamaya Kosha. Then we have Pranamaya Kosha, Manomaya Kosha, Vijnanamaya Kosha, Anandamaya Kosha. Every one of us have got these 5 bodies, one bigger than the other, The biggest of all is Anandamaya Kosha. Similarly, this world, this entire world is not just physical. That is called Annamaya Kosha. Today we know that this entire physical world is made of electromagnetic field. It's energy field, electromagnetic field. Then that which encompasses this electromagnetic field is the bioplasmic field, pranic field. Then much bigger than, much subtler than that is the astral field or the mind field. Is there something beyond that? Yes, it is called the information field, knowledge field, Vijnanamaya Kosha. Is it the end? No. Beyond that is the bliss field, the Anandamaya Kosha. So all these fields are in continual interaction. A change in one brings changes in the other. Therefore, the weird changes going on in the whole universe. So individually we have got the 5 bodies, and the world, the Jagat, has got 5 layers. This is the total knowledge. So you are seeing only the physical body, you think that we are only the physical body. No. This is only the thing. What is the proof that we have today? In the body, so many things are happening. There are genes, there are cells, there are organs, there are systems, and the brain, a tremendous knowledge. How do you know all these things? Today, modern science has understood. You have got the anatomy, physiology, everything. How do you know that there is heart inside? People have dissected and shown what is the shape of the things.
Okay.
How do you know there are cells? Today, you got such equipment by which you can actually photograph. Electron microscope, you can do that. And X-rays, you can see how things are going on. Such equipment. So by equipment, we can show you what's happening. Something goes on, you go to the diagnostic lab. You can find out what's happening in the brain. Whether there's a clot of the blood, whether something has burst out in the brain, everything you can measure by doing this thing. Some are non-invasive, some are invasive things. But we can find out. Therefore, we all believe, because we can show. Similarly, can you show something about Pranamaya Kosha? Today, yes, technology has come, called BioWell. So in BioWell, you can find out your Pranamaya Kosha. Within 5 minutes, you put your fingers into our BioWell equipment, and you can get the complete photograph of the whole Pranamaya Kosha, slightly bigger than the physical body. And in this, you can see every organ and the system, how the 5 pranas, prana, apana, samana, udana, vyana, 5 manifested aspects of prana are all going on, and how they are in different imbalances. How much is the imbalance? Quantify, you can do. Just like you have the blood glucose, you can measure in the blood and see how much of the blood sugar is there. It is more, it's less, everything you can find out. Similarly, the prana imbalance can be measured. And we have got the nadis, Ida, Pingala, and Sushumna nadis, the Muladhara chakra and the different chakras. You can find out what are all the chakras, how much is the imbalance in every chakra, everything in detail you can get. So we have got an equipment. Those who want, you can talk to your coordinator and you can take this thing. It takes only 5 minutes. So I can show you in the Pranamaya Kosha how things are changing thanks to technology. Similarly, Manomaya, Vijnana, Anandamaya Kosha, our research lab can measure all these dimensions with a deep technique. To measure these certain things, we have set up a lab here called Prananveshna lab. So therefore, we are moving to understand the 5 dimensions based on the modern technology. Having said that, this is the knowledge, but you have to unravel, doing your practices. What are the practices you have in the Gnana Yoga? Shravana, Manana, Nididhyasana, getting into the Gnana. And stabilizing that Gnana. Stabilizing that Gnana that I am 5-layered existence. That is beyond is pure consciousness. That's my original self. That knowledge has to be stabilized. So what are the characteristics of such a person who has stabilized? Sthita prajna. The prajna or the knowledge has been stabilized. What are the characters? Krishna gives that example. There are 2 qualities. Number 1 is that he can stay in the state of silence for any length of time. He has overcome all the desires. That means if he sits and tells his mind, come sit quiet, the mind will be in silence. For us, what happened? You tell to your mind, come on, stay silence. Even 1 minute, it cannot remain in silence. There is a sthita prajna can stay in that silence for any length of time. Any length? Half an hour, 1 hour, 3 hours, 100 hours, 100 days? Yes, any length of time. We have such examples. In recent times, we have Ramana Maharshi, who stayed in that for days and months and years together. So that is the characteristic. Rajahati yada sarvan kaman manogatan sarvan. Every thought you should be able to silence. Then are you becoming stone-like? Or you become mentally retarded? Is the question that comes. No. It's full of energy, vitality, and happiness and brilliance. No. Atmaneva Atmana Tushtaha. He's full of Ananda. He is in the Anandamaya Kosha. In that thing. In Anandamaya Kosha, he has a yes Ananda, wonderful Ananda. And you have the absolute freedom. If you want, you can think. If you don't want, you don't have to think. If you don't have that freedom has come. Such a person is called Thita Prajna. So,
Sorry to interrupt.
very big thing.
Sorry, can Mr. Krishnamurthy kindly mute his mic, please? Thank you.
Mastery over the senses and emotions is the need. To get to that, what we have to do, we have to see that we gain control and mastery over the emotions. Otherwise, what happens? Our senses are rushing towards an object. We don't have control on that. That has to be done. So we have to understand what is that emotion, what the relation between thoughts that we are talking and the emotion that we are dealing with. When the thoughts become very fast, when we have repeated thinking, then they become emotions, it says. Dhyayato Vishayan Punsaha Sangashteshu Pajayate Sangat Sanjayate Kamaha Kamat Krodho Vijayate Krodhat Bhavati Sammoha Sammohat Smriti Vibramaha Smriti Bhramshat Buddhinashaha Buddhinashat Pranashyati. Emotions, thinking, you go on thinking about again and again, then it starts with an attachment, sangaha, teshu upadayate. No? Once attachment comes, then you want it, you don't want it. Raga and dvesha starts coming up. And once you are satisfied with the sense pleasures, then it turns itself, desire turns itself a greed. You want more and more, more and more, more and more. You don't get to become angry. Krodha. Krodha bhavati sammoha. Your mind start getting clogged up. Sammoha is prathivibramaha. Then memory loss takes place. And discrimination is gone. Then you are no more a human being. You act like an animal. This is the whole sequence of degradation of the mind, getting into the emotions stronger and stronger, overcoming you and that. This is how we all deteriorate. Therefore, you have to get mastery over the senses and emotions. So start working. You're getting angry. You're getting infatuated. Anger, greed, jealousy, hatred, infatuation, all these emotions. You should be able to overcome that. Always you start looking at somebody in a very negative way. Always you are very suspicious, very jealous, and you hate others, and you want to kill others. All these are negative, very strong emotions. So Krishna says you start working it. It's the whole process of Bhakti Yoga, which you are going to take up in the next series. So you overcome these emotions, and one by one, start working with anger. Anger is one of the basic things, causes things, and fear. Whether we are able to overcome this fear, whether we are able to overcome this thing, what are the methods have been given there. So if you cannot directly go to the stage of silencing the mind and staying in silence for longer and longer time, why? Because you are drawn by these emotions very strongly. So you have to start working on these things. Because these emotions will enslave on us and take us down the drains. For example, all of us know what is right, what is wrong. But why people get into such robbery, such terrorism, and such corruptions? Why they do this thing? We all know what are the ethics, what we should do, what we should not do. Everybody knows. But why? Because we're drawn by these emotions. Simpler example. Every diabetic knows that I should not eat sweet. If I eat sweet, sugar level will increase. But what happens when you are faced with number of different sweets, your fond sweets, gulab jamun, rasgulla, pal paisam, whatnot, you know, what happens? A conflict arises. Kurukshetra war starts, you know. Tangi, come on, go and eat, so nice, so nice, so nice. But Buddhi is telling, no, no, don't. What the doctor has told, you should not touch sweet. Conflict. That is Kurukshetra war. That's not only war that happened in Kurukshetra, but happens in our life. What wins matters. If the tongue wins, come on, what is going to happen after all? Take one sweet. You can take one anti-diabetic diabetes you can take, or insulin you can take. Come on, eat. After life is for enjoyment, it will take. Then you start it. You know. So this is how emotions take over us. Therefore, Krishna says it's here that you start working. Because this to work on the mind level is more subtle, more difficult. Therefore, you start working here and start gaining mastery. So, once you start working there, then you get to the higher level. You should be able to do this thing. You know? So, even that you are finding it very difficult. What is to be done? When you get that misery, diabetes, and you have started suffering, slowly your eyesight is coming down and legs are happening, dukkha is coming up, then you should overcome that dukkha. And when you eat, you have the sukha, dukkeshu anudviglamanaha, sukeshu vigataspraha, that you should bring balance at the still grosser level. Samatvam yoga uchyate, all the deterioration that takes place from the mind becoming the emotions enslaving us, starts imbalance at the brain level. The left and the right brain imbalance start taking place. Then autonomic imbalance takes place, endocrine imbalance takes place, imbalance percolate down into every organ and system in the body, and you start getting into that imbalance more and more. So what is to be done? Start bringing balance. Bring balance between the left and the right nostril. Start doing the balance. That is, you do the pranayama. Left nostril, right nostril. Find out which nostril is more. Bring the balance. Because Suryanuloma, Chandranuloma, and Nadi Shuddhi Pranayama. Bring the balance at the breathing level. So you start bringing balance. Samatvam yoga uchyate. Then slowly you get control over your anger, greed, jealousy, hatred, infatuation, arrogance, vita, raga, bhaya, krodha. Slowly start getting into this thing. Many people come and say, how to overcome these things? Pranayama is a very powerful process. And you can cleanse the system by the kriyas, Hatha Yoga Kriya. Or you have the asanas, you can do these things. So various techniques are coming up. Use the Raja Yoga, the Hatha Yoga process to do these things. It all becomes necessary. Once you start doing that, you come to this level slowly. Then it's called as this Tata Prajna. So once you start getting this, what happens? Sukha, emergence of bliss. Prasade sarva dukkhanam. Repeat. Prasade sarva dukkhanam. Anirasyopajayate. Prasanna chetaso hyashu. Buddhi paryavatishthate. Once you start doing that, and slowly you get control over the mind, and the mind starts staying in that silence, and it becomes very, very blissful. Prasanna chetasa. The chetas become full of ananda. Because silence is bliss, bliss is peace, peace is calmness, is silence. When the mind becomes calm, you have the tranquility, brings the bliss. And that bliss is the one that emerges. Prasanna chetaso yashu buddhi paryavatashti. then the buddhi starts tuning itself to that ultimate reality. That's the thing that comes. So once you start coming like, what are the qualities of such a person? Yaha sarvatra anabhisneha. Tattat prapya shubhashubham. Let us repeat. Yas sarvatra anabhisneha. Tattat prapya shubhashubham. Nabhinandati nadveshti. Tasya prajna pratisthita. So what happens? Sarvatra anabhisneha. That you start loving everybody because you see the same divinity in everyone. This Swami Vivekananda called as universal brotherhood, Vishwatma Prema, Anabhisneha, unattached love. Normal our love is full of attachment. It is attachment that brings the misery to us. It's an unattached love. You have equal love for everybody. That's the thing that happens. Therefore, when you have this thing, Shubha and Ashubha comes. Sometimes good happens, sometimes bad happens in life. You have to maintain that equanimity. Navinandati nadveshti. When things happen full of joy, excitement, lava, or when something goes away, you should maintain equanimity. That's the thing that happens. So normally what happens when you get the objects that you desire, then you are very, very happy. When you don't get it, you become miserable. This is the normal thing. We are tossed up and down in these things. I remember that in the United States, there is a boom in economy. And a lot of my friends, they had invested in $1,000, $5,000 like this. They all become overnight millionaires. They were also excited, and everything, parties, and then they're so happy, with no effort, because the boom came up within 3 months, 6 months, they became millionaires. They invested all these things in very stable stock. They thought, why? Now why we don't have to work, we can enjoy the whole life, they were thinking. Then what happened? Even the best of the stocks they had invested, there's a big collapse. The whole economy came down in the whole world. All millions came down to 1,000. They were absolutely depressed. What happened? Crying. I was in Japan at that time, first time in Japan, 25,000 people committed suicide. Every day one or other things, because they have become almost bankrupts. How can we live? How can we live? And this is the thing that happened. When you got the objects of your choice, you're all excited. But when you don't, you have completely depressed. This is the normal thing that happens. What to be maintained? You have to maintain equanimity. Look at Singapore, what they did. Look on you, the great personality. He called all his cabinet ministers and said, we are in an economic downfall in the whole world. People are getting drowned. But we have to maintain Singapore. Therefore, we have to conserve. Therefore, today what I'm going to do is, this year, normally every year I'm taking $800,000 per year. Now I'll bring it down to $80,000. That's enough for me. I will manage. All the cabinet ministers, I'm taking $200,000, I will take only $20,000. I'm taking $100,000, I'm taking only $10,000. Everybody decided. 1 year, we are going to conserve economy, everything. They called all the major industrialists and other people and said, the time has come, we have to conserve our energy. Let us use energy only when it is needed. Don't put on the light throughout 24 hours. Only when you use that, you use the electricity. Use minimum water that you need. Eat minimum, whatever is needed. Stop all big parties. Big functions will all reduce. Everywhere conservation, they started. Within 9 months, the economy started coming back. Samatvam yoga uchyate. This is what Krishna says. Therefore, the dimension is that you start doing dimensions, and this can happen when you can have that knowledge of the dimensions. So this is what happened. Then you have come to the stabilized gnana. Then further growth. It's the higher layers of the subtle mind that start coming up. Ya nisha sarva bhutanam tasyam jagarti sanyami
तस्यां जागर्ति संयमी
yasyam jagrati bhutani
यस्यां जागृति भूता
anisha
जागृतिभूतानि
pashyato munehe.
तानिशा पश्यतो मुनेः.
It's the most difficult shloka in Bhagavad Gita to understand. What it says, that for normal people, Sarvabhutanam ya nisha. What is darkness for the normal people is the day is full of brightness for the Sthita Prajna, for a person who is coming into this thing. Similarly, for all people, what is day is the night for the get gnani. What does that mean? What is day for us? The mind is always working and working during the day. So gnani has the capacity to silence. He can stay completely silent. All the time, inner layer of the mind is in silence and is working. What is night for us? In the night, your mind is not working. For the gnani, he understands in the so-called non-working of the mind, there is a lot of activity going on. And that's on the form of various sanchita karma, agami karma, and these things which are available. He understands. So he understands and starts working on these things and see that he maintains that thing. These are the subtle dimensions that have been talked about, takes you to the higher levels of this thing. And you start become sakshi, the witness, and you start understanding the higher laws. So you start going deeper and deeper, and you start getting a lot of siddhis. Anima, Mahima, Veriva, Vakamya. Hanuman is a great example for us. Hanuman had all the powers because all the time is immersed in the Ramanama. He was a great gnani also. He was all the time immersed in the gnana sthiti. And therefore he had all the powers. He can make his body very small, he can make the body very big. He can make the body very, very strong and kill all the people. And Lakshmana has to be saved. Hanuman has to go and bring that Sanjeevani. And he doesn't know what is that particular Mulika. He brings the whole mountain itself comes. In such a short time, he was able to move with speed of the mind, overcome all the obstacles and bring this thing. Hanuman was the greatest example of a greatest gnani of the highest levels with all the Ashtasiddhi. And what is he using all that? For the good of the society, for establishing the dharma dimensions. Therefore, when you get all these siddhis, it has to be used. Can you use some of these powers for overcoming the cancer? No? Krishna was able to bring a small kubjastri into normalcy and beautiful sea. Mukam vacharam karoti, pangum langhayate agrim. That is the power of Krishna, A person who is a dumb, you was able to make him talk like a great orator. A person who doesn't have legs, he was able to go to the Himalayan mountains. That is the power that Krishna was able to give. So Hanuman was able to give such thing. We are such great masters in our country who came again and again. And they were able to bring such great knowledge. This is the dimension that comes. Whether it's the Buddha or the Mahavir on this side, or Santa Gnandev in Maharashtra, Shankaracharya from Kerala, and large number of Siddhas in Tamil Nadu. Agastya was able to drink the whole ocean for these things. And we had number of Hatha Yoga masters in the Madhya Pradesh. Guru Nanak here in Punjab, Lahari Mahashaya, Yukteswar Giri in the western thing, in the Bengal area. Our country brought such great masters again and again in our country. That's why it's not just a Punyam Bhumi, it's a Divya Bhumi. And therefore, such are the great masters who had all the power. What did they do? The power was used to establish the dharma in the society, to establish the righteousness in the society. And that's what has to be done. So the persons going into the deep dimension, they'll get into this. And how does such a person leave his body in the end? Om Ityekaksharam Brahma Vyaharam Mamanusmaram Yaprayati Deham Sayati Paramangatim. All the time immersed in that Omkara, continuously in tune with this thing. He continuously works and stays in that Omkara and he leaves the body. Then the prana goes through the dimension above the head and Sahasrara, he leaves the body and comes. That is one way by which he leaves the body. That means he's sitting here. Swami Vivekananda served all the people on the last day. Everybody was telling, why Swamiji, why you are serving? We'll serve you. No. Today it's my prerogative because I'm going to leave the body. And he serves all the people. Then he sits in complete Padmasana, goes into deep meditation and leaves the body, comes out of the body. Many such masters are there who are able to do that. This is one way by which people leave their body at the end. Another way of doing that is that great persons like Raghavendra Mahaswamigal or Shankaracharya or the great Ramalinga and many others, what they do, they sit here and they diffuse the body. No more you see the body. In the first way, the body is left and body is cremated or burnt. In the second thing, the body just vanishes. It becomes Pranamaya Kosha. Shankaracharya just entered into the Guha, nobody could see any other thing. Ramalinga in Tamil Nadu, he was able to completely diffuse his body to the Pranamaya Kosha. Pranamaya Kosha goes to Manomaya, Manomaya to Vijnana, Anandamaya Kosha. You don't see the body. The body is vanished. These are the two ways that they leave the body, I mentioned. All these things are very important, and to get that, what we should have is the Shraddha. Shraddha. Shraddhavan labhate jnanam tatparasayatendriyaha jnanam labdha param shantim achirenadhigacchati. So that Shraddha, and the dimension of absolute faith. It's not blind faith. It is a faith based on your knowledge, by your experience. Sincerity, dedication are the features that come through. So we should have that Shraddha, and that Shraddha only can take us to the higher and higher heights, dimensions that come. So, original state of pure consciousness we reach. Esha Brahmi Sthiti Partha Nainam Prapya Vimuhyate Sthitva Shyamantakalepi Brahma Nirvana Mruchyate. So, by staying in the state and leaving the body, you reach the highest level. Then you have the highest freedom. You reach the state of infinite bliss, infinite knowledge, freedom. That state is called as Kaivalya by Patanjali, called Nirvana probably by Buddha, called Moksha in Vedanta. What is that state? State of infinite bliss, infinite knowledge, infinite power, infinite freedom. It is beyond space, time, causation. It is beyond all the Panchakoshas. Panchakoshas are the Jagat. We have the five bodies which goes on changing and changing. That which did not change, which pervades everything, is our original state. Just like in modern science, we have understood that all these are physical bodies, everything is all made out of energy. When something is lost, when you burn this thing, the energy is not lost. Energy gets transformed to others. When a candle is burnt, energy is not lost, it is said. Similarly, everything is a pure consciousness and it is ever existing. It does not change. So that's also infinite, this is also infinite. Purnamadaha, Purnabidam. This Jagat is also infinite. That also is infinite. What is the relation between the two? Purnat Purnam Budachyate. This entire Jagat comes from that ultimate reality, from that pure consciousness, which is common to all of us called. It's called Paramatma Sthiti, the self of all. We all have come from the same thing. Therefore, we are all really brothers and sisters. That's why Swami Vivekananda, addressing the Parliament of Religion, he said, "My dear brothers and sisters of America," that enchanted the people. He was not making a marketing gimmick, but he was bringing the whole essence of our Indian cultural base into that. Therefore, we are all really brothers and sisters. So we should have love, affection, harmony, peace, and we have to build one big family. That is the goal of our Indian heritage. That's why our Honorable Prime Minister is telling now that G20, what is the objective? To create single world family. We should all work together. Instead of that, what we are doing? We are drawn by our ego and anger, greed, jealousy, hatred, and infatuation, and then fight each other. And so many wars are coming up. Why? Because of our gnana, because of our wrong notions, because of our petty knowledge, and drawn by our emotions of petty things, egoistic things, selfish things. We are all drawn by this thing. Therefore, we have to change that. How can we do that? Only by this yoga. That's why yoga is being propagated in such a big way all over the world. And International Day of Yoga is an opportunity where more and more people should do that. Therefore, Ministry of Ayush has told, last year we had 25 crores of people in India to practice yoga protocol. This year, 30 crores of people should practice. So, as all yoga teachers and yoga instructors, you must all practice the common yoga protocol, 35 minutes regularly, and see that more and more people learn that. Then the transformation takes place. We can build one huge family, one world family. We have to do that. Therefore, we have got ultimate reality, which is infinite, and this entire world, which is also infinite. It is the same manifestation. This pure consciousness is called Nirupadika Brahma, attributeless Brahman. Just like in the physical world, we have got this energy field, which is having no particular shape, the beyond space-time. But then we have got this entire world which is changing. This also is this thing. Similarly, here, pure consciousness is called Nirupadika Brahma, and we have the Sopadika Brahma, consciousness with attributes. Therefore, these two things are in continuity, two manifestation dimensions. So, how to read that? Again, the schematic. Start with Shavana, hearing. You have heard today, we should start the practice. Manana, continuous practice, Nididhyasana, Gnana, and then stabilize the Gnana to greater and greater heights, ultimately reach the ultimate reality of infinite bliss, knowledge, and power and freedom. And this is the entire creation, how the creation takes place has been put forth. How the mind gets condensed and becomes smaller and smaller and comes. So in the Mandaka Upanishad, we have got Jagrat, Swapna, Sushupti are the three things which are there, which have to go beyond that dimension. This is the essence of the Gnana Yoga, which is portrayed in these 18 verses that we have chanted. With that, we close today's session with this thing and spend a few minutes for our question and answers if we have. Yes, you can close now. How to balance our emotions and avoid making decisions based on them. Emotions, we have to maintain balance. Samatvam yoga uchyate, as it is said. So, they gave the example, dukkeshu anudvigna manoha. When dukkha comes, you should not get depressed. When success comes, you should not get excited about it. No? The example. That is a mental state which you have to develop. In all our lives, always there is good and bad, good, bad that goes on coming up in this thing. But can we maintain equanimity? No. This is a thing that starts coming up with the practice. This is dimensions of karma yoga, dimension that comes. Is Mandukya Yoga Upanishad giving the concept of quantum jump, like frog to the fourth state of mind. Yes, Mandukya Upanishad first makes us understand the three states in which we all undergo changes. Jagrat is the wakeful thing. Then in the night, when you sleep, you go into Sushupti, complete deep sleep without dreams. Then in the Sushupti, you wake up in the dream world. And from the dream world, again, you go into the sleep. Sleep is the basis. That's called the Anandamaya Kosha. So from the sleep, you wake up to this wakeful world, and then again go to the sleep. From the sleep, come to the dream state, and again go to this deep sleep, and then it goes on. Deep sleep is the Anandamaya Kosha. So from Anandamaya Kosha, you come to the Jagrat. From Jagrat, you go to the Anandamaya Kosha. Again, from there, you come to the dream world, and then you go back. In dream world, we create our own world. No? The world that I create in my dream world is not real to you, but it is real to all my people in my dream world. This is my wakeful world. In the wakeful world, my dream world is not real to you. Your dream world is not the right thing for me. This other dimension. All of us undergo this thing, Jagrat, Swapna, Sushupti, these things we do. That is, you move from Annamaya Kosha to the subtle world and the causal world. Sukha Sharira and Karana Sharira, and we come back. This goes on. And how does it move from one to another? You are sleeping. In the night, you sleep. Suddenly, you go into deep sleep. There is a jump in consciousness. This is something like a quantum jump in the physical world. Electrons, when we are sailing in the entire thing going on around, suddenly it jumps to the next thing, absorbing certain energy. This happens. So similarly here also, it jumps from one state to another state. This is what the Mandukya says. Therefore you are right, it is to do that. And living our body in two different ways. Is it possible? Yes, if you reach that highest state of control and mastery, then you will be able to do these things. But
To look for hand raises. Somebody's asked a hand raise or not.
everybody is telling only, what else? Okay. If anybody gets any other doubt, you can send me. And from next Saturday, we are going to start the dimensions related to emotions. The question that you had asked, how to overcome the emotions, how to bring the equanimity, and the whole science has been unraveled. That's what we're going to doing this thing. Dreaming every day will affect our sleep quality. It's all expression of our three gunas, our prarabdha karma, which is manifesting in the wakeful world, in the sanchita karma that manifests there. And therefore, it is tamas, rajas, and sattva. Depending on that, it manifests in the different dream world. Therefore, so it may help, it may not help. It may deteriorate by sleep quality. It may help in sleep quality also. Sometimes people do wonderful meditation in the dream, and then the sleep quality improves a lot. How Arjuna Vishada Yoga, conflict is also type of yoga. We are facing so many conflicts today. Yes. So when Arjuna got into conflict, he had a great teacher in Krishna. Therefore, Krishna was able to give the answers and see that his conflict is overcome. Therefore, Arjuna comes out of the conflict and gains to the higher state. Similarly, when we have this conflict, we go through the knowledge base that is available in Jnana Yoga and see that we adopt that and use it, then we will be able to overcome. Therefore, Arjuna Vishada Yoga or conflicts in our lives also can help us to go beyond. But if you do not take to the boat of Jnana, if you do not take to the Jnana, or if you don't get access to the Jnana, then you will get lost in the whole thing. So what is needed is that you must take to the knowledge base, the right knowledge. If you have the right knowledge, it is going to bring about the change. What is that right knowledge? We have discussed in the Jnana Yoga, we have seen. Anything else? Can you please explain relation of emotions, buddhi, and karma? So when we take up this, the next series, this all comes in greater depth. At present, as of now, we have seen how when the thoughts go on getting repeated, dhyayato vishyan pansaha sanghateshu upajayate, then attachment comes. Repeated thinking is what we call as emotions. And therefore, when you speed up the thoughts, it becomes emotions. Emotions are power thoughts. And thoughts becomes emotions. Emotions manifest in our actions. That the karma starts coming. And depending on the type of karma we do, we have got the entire sanchita karma that gets changed. It's the whole process that goes on, which I explained earlier. Okay, with that, we thank you. Sarve bhavantu sukhinah, sarve santu niramaya, sarve bhadrani pashyantu, ma kaschid dukkha bhag bhavet. Om Shanti Shanti Shanti. Thank you all very much. We'll meet Saturday next. Thank you.
Thank you, Guruji.
Thank you, Guruji.
Thank you.
ಧನ್ಯವಾದ ಗುರುಜಿ.
Thank you. Thank you.
Thank you, Guruji. Thank you.
Thank you so much.
Ram Guruji, धन्यवाद.
Thank you.